Since I started this channel, I've been working towards building the most immersive sim rig I possibly could, using the resources available to me. Over time, the resources have grown, and as such, the builds have gotten a lot better. I'm always looking for new ways to make the rig feel more immersive, more realistic, or just make it do something that it couldn't do before. Throughout this process, I've developed quite a few DIY electronics that I use on the rig, and for some of them, I've had to come up with my own ways to support them, either by making SimHub dashboards or designing my own software entirely. But I recently purchased the 911 cup wheel from VPG, and that's when I learned that there's a SimHub plugin that's been missing on my rig this entire time. If you guys aren't already using the Daniel Newman Racing plugin, then you need to see this video. Now I'm going to get into details in a minute, but I jumped into the rig so I could just show you guys the experience of the rig with and without Daniel Newman Racing. Right now I have all of the profiles disabled, and then as I start the car up here in the pit, you guys will notice that nothing really exciting happens. The car just starts up. I can turn on the pit limiter. And as I pull out of the pit, you guys will notice pretty uneventful overall. So now let me show you guys what it's like with the DNR profiles enabled. Now loading into the track with DNR active, you guys can see my flag has animations on it. Over here on the lap timer, I've got it showing ignition off. Up here, I've got a full race controller with all the data and information I could need during my race. And overall, it just feels more immersive and interactive. You can see the wheel lights are off. As soon as I turn the ignition on, I get engine off up here. I get wheel lights on. If I turn the pit limiter off, you guys can see totally different lighting. Pit limiter on. And my ambient lighting all reacts to this as well. And then when I start the engine, you can see different animations take place within the rig. We'll go back into pit limiter and pull out. You guys will just notice the overall experience is just a little bit different, more immersive, a little bit crazy too. I mean, we get the go on the flag, and now on the lap timer, I can cycle through my screens, get to my estimated lap time, probably blow my engine in the process because again, not wearing headphones, but yeah, so as you guys can see, the overall immersion, just starting the car and like getting pumped up, and that feeling like you're in a real race car before the race definitely adds something to the immersion. Now before we go any further with this video, I just want to be clear that this is one of those occasions where I just happened to find something that I really like and wanted to share it with you guys. I'm not affiliated with Daniel Newman Racing. There's no affiliate links to click on. I just thought it was really cool and I wanted to share it with you guys. Now with that bit of clarity out of the way, let's talk about that demo, because obviously it makes a huge difference if you have DNR off versus on. The immersion is insane, and I know with the camera you may not be able to have enjoyed everything about it, and the lighting probably looked a little bit bright and crazy, but from inside the cockpit it just feels super immersive and natural. Even though you wouldn't necessarily have all that going on in the car, it just adds something to make you feel like you're really about to jump in a race and go racing. So I think it's really cool, but all of that barely scratched the surface of what you can do with Daniel Newman Racing. So let's jump into SimHub, and I'll show you guys all the tabs and customizations available. Now once you've downloaded and installed the DNR plugin, you'll want to restart SimHub. Once you boot it back up, it'll ask you basically to allow the plugin. And once you've done that, you can go to additional plugins. So I'm doing this on my desktop PC that doesn't have any sim rig gear attached to it right now, but I just wanted to be able to record the screen and explain everything. So on the home screen of DNR, you'll notice a status where it says plugin activated. This will have a login screen if you haven't logged in. Next to that is what membership level you are. So there's everything from free membership up to team principals. I personally went with the team principals because I wanted access to everything this app had to offer, but the free version even gives you access to the dashboards and stuff that we'll talk about in a minute. And then over here, you can get your updates. Essentially, this is just your home screen when you log in. And if you come over here and go to the first tab underneath the home, this is where the dashboard settings and customizations are. So we'll check that out. Now over here in the dashboard section, you'll find 7 different options, but the DNR team always seems to be working on new stuff, so I'm sure this is an ever-expanding list. Right now, you've got 4 things for DDU users. You've got your endurance and circuit dash, a rally dash, and an oval racing dash. And then there's also this invisible dash. So if you have a DDU on and it blocks some of your screen, you can actually use this to be able to see through the screen, or essentially project whatever should be on the screen behind the DDU onto the DDU. So it's like you could see through it. And then you have a co-pilot screen, which is basically just like a race engineer for your fourth monitor. And you could see here, like, you can have lap times, your track layout, telemetry, speed, time, spotter, and car positions around you. There's a lot of data just mixed into this one part. And then back here in this screen, you also have chrono. So for those that run a lap timer, like, I absolutely love my lap timer. I always ran basic screens with it. This thing provides so much more information and just looks way cleaner and cooler. And then there's the race controller, which basically takes everything from Copilot and all that data and puts it onto just a few simple screens. For me personally, running a really small fourth monitor, I do use it, but it's a lot harder to see during the race. And honestly, I probably should use Copilot on that monitor and not the race controller. But here's all the data you can get with it. And realistically, it's probably the most comprehensive one single screen that you could get from this app. Now, in the next tab, you have your telemetry as it correlates with your LEDs, whether you have a DDU or some kind of strip or something you're using. So you could set it for RPMs and brake pressure, brake and throttle input, fuel gauge, all kinds of different settings that you can set it to while you're racing. But then in addition to it, like, you have fully customizable RGB settings for pretty much all of that. And then indicator settings for marshal, proximity spotter, pit lane stuff, car systems. There's just so many customizations and settings. I could go through all this data, but it would just take way too long to cover all that. Now, for those who have programmable LEDs in their racing wheel, this next tab allows you to basically just customize the different buttons on it, and it's compatible with a ton of different wheels. And in this case, like with this app, not only can you change the colors, but you can also change how it reacts when you push the buttons. So there's some animations that come along with it. Also different inputs and effects from starting the car or redlining, things like that, that'll just provide you feedback to the wheel. But the big part is just being able to go in and customize the lighting and just make it look however you want it to look and react how you want it to react. Now, under the racing wheel settings is a tab that I wish I had experience with, and that's the programmable LEDs in a button box. And the thing with that is I would love to put this into the Cup Car button box and just have programmable LEDs on it. It's something I want to experiment with, but I haven't gotten to do yet. So for right now, all I could tell you guys is if you do happen to have a button box with programmable LEDs, this is where all the settings are. And they're pretty consistent, like as far as different indicators and like startup animations, all that stuff. It's pretty consistent across the app. So everything that you set up, you can make it match so that it all works together. Super cohesive. And I can only imagine how good it would look if I could just get that button box set up to match with everything else. Now, this next tab might be one of my favorites because as much as I like my flag box, it's usually pretty boring if somebody's not right next to me or if there's not a flag active. But this adds in a ton of animations to the flag that match up with all the other things I've been talking about and just gives it a lot more life and a little bit more excitement and immersion inside the sim rig. And it's something that I just got really excited about when I saw how it all functions together and like on startup and everything. Just think it's really cool. Again, super customizable. You can set all your gear indicator colors, stuff like that if you need to, flag idle screens, and of course, any behaviors within the car that react to what it's doing, whether it be startup or temperatures, fuel warning, all that stuff. Below that, you'll find another customization screen for browse. This one's similar to the telemetry screen, but this one's exclusively for the browse, so you can adjust the number of LEDs and how you want those to react, but overall, pretty much the same concept. Now, this next tab is absolutely my favorite one. If you guys have been a part of the TWE family for a while, you guys know that ambient lighting is something that I'm really passionate about. I've spent years trying to dial it in, get different systems set up, building my own custom light boxes, improving the coating in those light boxes, and all this to just be able to have different layers of lighting as it gets brighter in the cockpit and darker and simulate sun traveling around the car. It doesn't support my Adelight boxes, but at the same time, it does work really well with the Govee lights, which are the primary ones that I use, and it just improves the features of them to add more immersion to the rig. This is the ambient light tab, and as you guys can see, you can customize your number of ambient lights or Govee bars however you want to set it up. You have your menu lights, menu contouring, ambient light during the day, ambient light at night, so you can have it actually shift over to different colors rather than trying to have like no light in the cockpit at all. And then of course a few of the other features that everything else has to help match up with the rig and make that cohesive effect. Below ambient lighting is a whole tab dedicated to Copilot just so that you can do different customizations and make it work the way you want it to. And then below that, dark mode customizations for night racing so that it'll automatically shift into and apply different profiles to all of the things that are connected to Daniel Newman Racing. And then global settings right here, basically making it to where your different colors are set to be exactly what you want. So for example, any traction control telemetry is going to show as light blue and so on. Basically just another way to keep everything cohesive. Now, for those of you that are familiar with SimHub, you probably already know the DNR plugin isn't adding any features that weren't already there. But if you've ever tried to make a sim racing dash on there, you know it takes a lot of time and effort. So unless you're a SimHub expert, it could take quite a long time to actually try to compile all this and make it work the same way. And honestly, you or I probably wouldn't be able to do what Daniel Newman has done on the level that he's done it at. And I know there's a few of you watching this video saying, I could do that, and I believe you. But that doesn't apply to the majority of us. There's a reason even the pros are jumping on board with this software, and part of that's probably because it's really hard to emulate, but it's also just really good. Now, like I said in the beginning, there's no affiliate links to click on. I'm not affiliated with Daniel Newman Racing in any way, shape, or form. So if you guys want the plugin, you're just gonna have to go search it in Google and download it. But I will assure you guys that once you do, you'll wonder why you didn't do it sooner. Kind of like I did. Now, coming up on the Cup Car 2.0 build, I've got a whole new dash that's going to be going in the rig that I think is going to look really cool. I've got a driver's side door that I've got to design and build, and a few other fun projects that I plan on sharing with you guys. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and until next time, I'll see you guys out on the track.